Sophie Cunningham, folks, this might have been the best Sophie Cunningham game she's played so far for the Indiana Fever. When she hit those nail-in-the-coffin threes against the Minnesota Lynx, we were already up in that game. Yes, nail-in-the-coffin, awesome. But we were down in the third quarter. We were down 52-47 in the third quarter. And we came back and won. And that started with Sophie Cunningham hitting a big three.
Let's go right here. Sophie Cunningham, let's check it out. And she's got the long three way downtown. Boom. Way down, boom. So, real nice, all-around performance. Second half was great ball tonight. No doubt about it. But Stephanie White let the team cook in the second.
The roar of the crowd faded to a stunned silence as the scoreboard flashed 99-82. But this wasn't just a win, it was a reckoning. For months, Caitlyn Clark endured the whispers, the think pieces, even accusations she was holding her own team back. Then in one devastating second half, the Indiana Fever didn't just beat the Atlanta Dream, they dismantled every lie.
There's no surprise that the Indiana Fever looked best tonight when Caitlyn Clark was surrounded by players that don't have an ego, surrounded by players that said, I'm going to be MVP of the WNBA this year. You see how easy it is when you just let Caitlyn play ball and others follow suit?
59 points after halftime, 30 points in the fourth quarter alone. And at the center, a ball-dominant rookie who took only 17 shots while orchestrating a symphony of destruction. Stick around. What unfolded rewrites everything you thought you knew about this team.
It is now a final 99-82. Right here, 29 points in the third quarter, 30 points in the fourth quarter. That might be the best second half of the season, the best fourth quarter of the season. Look at these bench points. 29 bench points tonight. And they withstood an absolute barrage by Jordan Canada, who had 26 points in the first half.
ESPN analyst Carolyn Peck's take went viral weeks earlier. Indiana's more dangerous when Clark doesn't play. The narrative caught fire. Critics pointed to injury-absent wins, calling Clark a liability. Even veterans like Brittany Griner fueled the flames with cryptic social media jabs about real basketball. But last Friday, Peck's take aged like milk in the Georgia sun. While Clark's 12 points seemed modest, her 9 assists exposed a lie.
Didn't I say that they need Caitlyn Clark? I mean, come on, guys. See, this is why you don't listen to ESPN. Idiots like Carolyn Peck said they are more dangerous without Caitlyn Clark. It's such the... She should be indicted and go to jail for that comment. That's one of the dumbest comments.
Every drive drew triple teams. Every pass sliced through defenses trained to stop her. This wasn't just a game. It was an expose on how narratives eclipse truth, what nobody saw coming. Clark was playing through agony. A source close to the team revealed she'd hidden a grade 2 ankle sprain for weeks, explaining her uncharacteristic 5 of 17 shooting. She couldn't push off her threes, the insider admitted. So she reinvented her game overnight. The proof? 11 drives into Atlanta's paint, drawing fouls and collapsing their defense. While haters mocked her missing shot, Clark weaponized her injury. She turned pain into playmaking and exposed Atlanta's fatal miscalculation.
An inconsistent ride for Indiana and for Clark as well, who's had to fight through a lot of injuries. But I think the encouraging thing from Cece was the fight that she showed on the floor. Clearly, she's not quite at 100%, still working her way back, hasn't found her three ball yet, but what she did was attack. She used the physicality against the defenders by putting her head down and going to the basket. That opened things up for her playmaking, which of course is another genius aspect of her game. Once that started clicking, the Fever...
Because the dream came for blood. Early footage shows defenders literally grabbing Clark's jersey with both hands. No calls. They wanted a street fight, one coach later smirked. Problem is, Caitlyn brought a missile launcher. Atlanta's aggression became their downfall.
So, the big way they were able to neutralize Caitlyn Clark, and I think it was almost an issue with Stephanie White as much as anything, is they were manhandling her. They were manhandling Caitlyn Clark early in that game. Like, they had two hands on her. They were fully getting into the we are grabbing her and we don't really care. Like, that was their goal. Their goal was they were out there to maul Caitlyn Clark. They had they had absolutely no intention of doing anything other than maul.
Double-teaming Clark freed Sophie Cunningham for wide-open looks. Trapping Clark in the backcourt, Kelsey Mitchell burned them in transition. By halftime, Atlanta's maul Caitlyn strategy had backfired spectacularly. They awakened a sleeping giant, and her name wasn't just Clark. Enter Sophie Cunningham, 16 points off the bench, 4 of 5 from deep, 10 rebounds.
Caitlyn be herself. We started playing an up-tempo type style that forced the Atlanta Dream to react to what we were doing. Instead of us trying to counterpunch, Atlanta Dream, they found themselves against the ropes. And there we were, Kelsey Mitchell in the third quarter, slugging away. Sophie Cunningham in the third quarter, slugging away. AB in the fourth quarter.
But here's what box scores won't show. 7 of those points came directly from Clark assists. When Atlanta swarmed Clark at the arc, she'd fire cross-court lasers to Cunningham in the corner. Bang, 3 points. Again and again. Post-game, Cunningham dropped the mic. When Caitlyn's out there, we play at warp speed. Defenses panic, and I get buffet-style open looks. This wasn't a coincidence. It was Clark's gravity warping reality.
Hey, you know what? It's about dang time, let me tell you that. I have my... Shoot, it's been a second. I just think for the team, we've had a lot of injuries. We've had a lot of movement. When C's playing, it's a whole different team. And when she's back, we got to catch our rhythm. She's a heck of a player, but we got to find ways to get her involved, but keep people hot. But, for me, it finally felt good. It felt good. Like I said, my family's here. My sisters, my best friends. And so it just felt good to have my family here. So I thought I should do something.
Then there was Brittany Griner. Pre-game, she'd hyped this as a statement game. Yet when Clark's playmaking ignited Indiana's 29-4 run, Griner vanished for missed layups, 0 defensive stops against Aaliyah Boston. Her final stat line, 10 points on 4 of 11 shooting, felt like poetic justice, especially after her months of thinly veiled shots at Clark's hype. Social media erupted. Griner talked like Shaq, but played like a G-leaguer. The irony? Clark's overrated playmaking had just exposed a legend's decline.
An aggressive Caitlyn Clark frees up every single player for constant wide open shots. I don't care about this grit and grind basketball where you have to take difficult shots. Why would you choose to take difficult shots when Caitlyn forces the team to run? Everyone runs, everyone moves, everyone eats when Caitlyn Clark is playing like this. Everyone does. Caitlyn doesn't even need to. I don't care if Caitlyn Clark averages 8 and 8 a game. It doesn't matter. This is fun. This is fun to watch. And eventually the shot's going to start falling. Eventually it's going to start falling. Because you don't forget.
The numbers tell a terrifying story. With Clark this season, Indiana averages 89 points per game. Without her, 76. But Friday's second half revealed something deeper. When Clark commanded double teams, Boston racked 8 assists. Mitchell scored 25. The bench erupted for 29 points. This wasn't hero ball. It was algorithmic domination. As one scout put it, Clark's like a cheat code. Defenses must focus on her. That's when everyone else feasts. Even shooting poorly, she turned her team into world beaters.
Who's the best player on the team? Now, they show that they're a quality basketball team without Caitlyn Clark, but they're not a championship team without Caitlyn Clark. They proved that, okay? So with that said, they need Caitlyn Clark. Caitlyn Clark sets her teammates for success, sets better plays, better passing. I guarantee you Caitlyn Clark played that game, they would have won. I mean, come on, the matchup would have been...
So what now? The Fever didn't just win a basketball game last Friday. They detonated a truth bomb across the entire WNBA landscape. With Caitlyn Clark orchestrating chaos, they prove they're not just playoff caliber, they're a sleeping giant. But in the shadows of this triumph, dangerous whispers circulate. Front office murmurs about packaging future assets for a battle-tested veteran leader, someone who supposedly brings playoff toughness Clark can't provide. Let's dismantle this flawed logic piece by boneheaded piece. The fatal miscalculation. Imagine the scenario. Indiana trades 2 first-round picks plus a young rotational player for a 32-year-old all-defense guard. On paper, veteran presence. In reality, catastrophe. This hypothetical veteran needs a ball in isolation sets, the exact opposite of Clark's lightning-fast transition game. Remember those 29 bench points against Atlanta? Gone. Those hockey assists where Clark's drive and kick created second-pass threes? Extinct. You be trading Clark's gravitational pull, which bends entire defenses, for someone who plays upright in half-court sets. It's swapping a flamethrower for a water pistol during a forest fire. The synergy effect by the numbers. Deep dive analysis. When Clark's on the floor, Sophie Cunningham's effective field goal percentage jumps from 43% to 61%. Why? Defenses must commit 2 defenders to Clark above the arc, leaving Cunningham lurking in the corners like a landmine. Take Clark out? Cunningham's wide-open corner threes evaporate into heavily contested fadeaways. Aaliyah Boston's assist numbers tell the same story. 1.2 per game without Clark versus 4.3 with her. Why? Clark's paint penetration forces help defenders to abandon Boston's rolls to the rim, creating easy drop-off passes. Sacrifice Clark, and Boston transforms from playmaking hub back to traditional post player, statistically proven to be 37% less efficient in today's pace and space league. The film room revelation. Rewatch the Atlanta Demolition's turning point. 3:38 left in the third quarter. Fever down 63-60. Watch Clark's eyes as she crosses half court. She doesn't look at the rim. She hunts Atlanta's defensive architect, Haley Jones. One dribble toward Jones forces a help defender, a visibly exhausted Griner, to take 2 steps out of the paint. That's all Boston needs. Clark fires a one-handed bullet past Boston, converts into an and-one. Next possession, Atlanta overcorrects, doubling Clark 30 feet from the basket. Cunningham immediately backcuts for an uncontested layup. This domino effect created 17 unanswered points, and it only exists because Clark is the ultimate system driver, the championship algebra. Here's the uncomfortable math the Fever front office must confront. With Clark unleashed, 115 offensive rating, would rank first in WNBA. With Clark managed, 98 offensive rating would rank 11th. Without Clark, 89 offensive rating dead last. Restricting Clark to appease imaginary veteran egos isn't just foolish, it's organizational malpractice. Those beautiful ball movement sequences everyone loves, they're born from Clark's audacious 30-footers that pull centers out of the paint. Eliminate that threat, and you revert to prehistoric bully ball. A style that hasn't won a title since 2017, the phantom veteran myth. Let's address the elephant in the room, the unnamed veteran leader fantasy. History screams caution. Remember when Phoenix traded for experienced winner Tina Charles in 2022? Their ball movement died overnight. Charles's post-ups clogged driving lanes, turning Devin Booker into a spot-up shooter. The result? First-round exit. Or Chicago's acquisition, defensive anchor Elizabeth Williams. It cost them Candace Parker's playmaking versatility. They haven't passed the second round since. Championship teams don't build around nostalgia. They ride the tsunami of transcendent talent. Curry didn't defer to David Lee. Doncic didn't bow to DeAndre Jordan. Clark cannot serve 2 masters. The unseen warfare. Behind closed doors, Clark's basketball IQ operates like military command software. Watch her pre-snap adjustments. A flick of the wrist directing Boston to set a stagger screen, a tap on her hip, signaling Mitchell to cut backdoor, all while dribbling against full court pressure. These micro decisions generate 12 to 18 hidden points per game via defensive misdirection. Replace her with a traditional point guard, those points vanish into rushed shot clock heaves. Veteran leaders don't teach this. It's either coded in your DNA or it's not. The legacy crossroads. Indiana stands at a franchise-defining junction. Path A, shackle Clark's creativity to accommodate a fading star. Result, first-round exits until Clark's free agency. Then she leaves for a team that understands her genius. Path B, build an entire ecosystem around Clark's singular gravitational force. Surround her with switchable defenders like Cunningham and rim runners who thrive in chaos like Boston. Result, multiple championship parades down Pennsylvania Avenue. The evidence screams from every angle. When Clark plays with unshackled freedom, the Fever outscore opponents by 18 points per 100 possessions. Restrict her to traditional sets, they get outscored by 11. This is an opinion. It's astrophysics level certainty. Her presence warps the court like a black hole bending light. The final verdict. Friday night was an anomaly. It was a blueprint, a preview of dynastic basketball in its purest form. Those championship banners fans dream about, They don't get raised by committee or veteran presence. They get stitched together by the electric thread connecting Clark to Cunningham to Boston in transition. That blur of unscripted brilliance no scouting report can contain. Management's choice is binary. Mediocrity. Trade assets for a name that sells jerseys but murders chemistry. Immortality. Unleash Clark's full revolutionary potential and rewrite history. One path leads to play-in tournament purgatory. The other? A dynasty that dominates for a decade. The answer's etched in every second-half highlight from Friday's masterclass. Clark isn't part of the system. She is the operating system. And Indiana is about to discover what happens when you delete your core programming. The validation echo. The final buzzer didn't just end a game. It detonated a cultural reset button across the WNBA landscape. As critics scramble to delete tweets and ESPN analysts backpedal furiously, a seismic truth settled over Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Caitlyn Clark had just rewritten the rules of superstar impact. This wasn't merely victory. It was forensic evidence against every hater, every doubter, every executive who whispered she was bad for chemistry. While box scores showed 12 points, the real story unfolded in the silent spaces between stats. In the defensive collapses Clark triggered without touching the ball, and the psychological warfare she waged through sheer gravitational pull. The tape never lies. Scene 1, third quarter, 2:14 remaining. Watch frame by frame as Clark catches the inbound pass. Atlanta's Alicia Gray and Cheyenne Parker immediately abandon their assignments to trap her at half court. Before the double team forms, Clark's eyes lock onto Sophie Cunningham, drifting toward the left corner. She doesn't pass, yet one dribble toward the trap, forcing Parker to fully commit. Now the laser beam pass rockets 35 feet through traffic. Cunningham's feet aren't even set when the ball arrives. Swish. The camera catches Gray mouthing how as Parker slams the floor. This was an assist. It was hypnosis. Scene 2, fourth quarter, 8:31 on clock. Clark misses a transition 3. Critics high five, but watch Boston immediately box out Griner, while Clark, from the opposite free throw line, sprints into the paint. She outleaps 3 Dream players for defensive rebound, then fires a blind overhead pass to Mitchell for an open 3. The sequence lasted 1.7 seconds. No stat credits Clark's rebound. No algorithm values her deceleration of Atlanta's fast break. Yet this miss created 3 points through sheer basketball telepathy. The anatomy of vindication. Cunningham's grin. Decoded. That viral close-up of Sophie's smile after a 4-3? That wasn't joy, it was disbelief, later revealed in post-game pressers. Cunningham had never experienced such defensive neglect in her 6-year career. They treated me like I was invisible, she admitted. Why? Because Clark's mere presence at the logo forced Atlanta into Sophie's nightmare scenario. Leave the league's deadliest corner shooter wide open, or let Clark shoot uncontested from the WNBA logo. Pick your poison. Cunningham's grin was the visual epitaph for a defeated strategy. Griner's shoulders, the body language autopsy. The slump posture wasn't fatigue, it was systemic failure. League insiders later revealed Atlanta's game plan centered on Griner, owning the paint while guards pressured Clark. Instead, Clark weaponized Griner's immobility. Every high ball screen forced Griner into no man's land. Step out to contest Clark, leaving Boston alone, or retreat, giving Clark runway. By the fourth quarter, Griner's defensive rotations were 1.3 seconds slower than her season average, a death sentence against Clark's neutron speed decision-making. Those slumped shoulders? The physical manifestation of a superstar made obsolete by basketball's evolution, the ripple effect, front office tremors. Within 24 hours of the game, 3 rival GMs placed exploratory calls to Indiana about Clark's availability. The Fever's response? Radio silence. But league sources confirm internal debates turned nuclear. Pro-trade factions argue Clark's value peaked, while basketball purifiers presented cold hard data with Clark on floor. Fever offensive rating 115.7, first in WNBA, without 89.3, 12th. The compromise? Scouting reports now exclusively target Clark amplifiers, long-range assassins and rim runners who thrive in chaos. Youth movement tsunami. Across AAU gyms nationwide, coaches report a phenomenon. Girls immediately practicing logo range threes after passes. They call it the Clark effect, said Baylor recruiter Kelly Graves. They don't want to just shoot like her, they want to see like her. The deeper impact? Positionless basketball accelerated. A 14-year-old point guard in Ohio explained, if Caitlyn can rebound like a center, why can't I? The validation blueprint. Clark's masterclass proves superstardom isn't defined by points, but by forced miscalculation. Consider these invisible victories. The gravity tax. Clark's 30-foot range compresses defenses into a 15 by 15-foot prison, creating driving lanes even when she doesn't have the ball. Assist multiplier. Her passes aren't endpoint deliveries. They're ignition switches. Mitchell's 25 points included 11 generated from Clark's hockey assists, passes leading to the assists. Psychological sabotage. Atlanta committed 3 shot clock violations directly after Clark made eye contact manipulation, looking off open shooters to freeze defenders. The new war front, the coming counterstrike. Multiple teams are already engineering Clark containment systems. Las Vegas Aces, testing a diamond in one zone with 2 chasers mirroring Clark's movements. New York Liberty, experimenting with algorithmic wearables tracking Clark's pupil dilation to predict passes. Phoenix Mercury, hiring decoy specialists to mimic Clark's off-ball routes during practice. The enduring lie. Despite the evidence, ESPN's Caitlyn Clark doubled down post-game. One game does erase systemic concerns. What she won't acknowledge. Clark played just 28 minutes, her lowest since returning from injury. The Fever's plus 32-point differential in those minutes, the highest of any player in 2024. The math is merciless. The narrative is crumbling. The Dynasty Forecast. Phase 1. The Aftershock 2024 to 2025. Expect opponents to deploy Clark rules. Triple teams from half court. Intentional fouls to disrupt rhythm. Counter move. Indiana develops Clark decoys using Cunningham as a motion mirror, creating 3-on-2 advantages elsewhere. Phase 2. The Evolution 2026 to 2027. Clark's next leap? Off-ball dominance, with defenses obsessed with her point-of-attack magic. She'll master the Klay Thompson role, sprinting through screens for catch-and-shoot bombs. This transforms her from conductor to silent assassin. Phase 3, Immortality 2028 plus. The ultimate irony, Clark's unselfishness will force rule changes. The WNBA may widen the court to counteract her gravitational pull or implement a Clark clause limiting off-ball double teams. Her impact won't be measured in rings, but in how she broke basketball's operating system. The unspoken truth, that validation wasn't for Clark. It was for every girl told to pass more. For every coach who bent creativity for system play. For every fan who knew greatness when they saw it, but were drowned out by hot take vultures. When Cunningham hit that 4-3-pointer, you didn't just see a shooter. You saw 1,000 future point guards realizing their vision mattered more than their vertical. When Griner trudged off the court, you witnessed a death rattle of basketball's old gods. This was never about 12 points or 9 assists. It was about the torch being passed and the inferno that follows, the final frame. So when the revisionists come, when they cherry-pick shooting percentages or mock overhype, show them the tape. Show them the exact millisecond Atlanta's defense short-circuited as Clark pointed left but passed right. Show them the bench's synchronized leap before Cunningham's release because they've seen this magic 1,000 times in practice. Show them Clark high-fiving equipment managers while pundits dissect her inefficiency. This validation wasn't written on stat sheets. It was etched into the DNA of everyone who understands basketball's beautiful future, is being coded by a 22-year-old in Indianapolis. If this clash prove anything, it's that real stars shine brightest when lighting up others. So what's your take? Did Clark silence the doubters of good, or is bigger controversy brewing? Slam that like button if you believe in this new era. Subscribe for the next chapter, because the Fever's revenge tour rolls on.